Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hey, happy Friday.
Hey, good morning, good morning.
We don't like to mention what day it is.
Hello.
It makes the shows less timeless. Hello, Arwin. Good to have you. So, we'll do a few housekeeping questions, then there's a discussion point on the table already from the pre-show, which we've been left with by a righteous force who then ran away. But that's how it goes sometimes. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there.
I thought you'd like that one as an opener. It is over there today.
Yes, it's clear skied, so it is actually over there, whatever it is.
The evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, you'd have to actually confirm a precise position within space, and seems to be impossible. I mean, you could back engineer, you could calculate it to be in a specific position, but you can't confirm it, though. Or when attempted, it isn't confirmed.
What are you going to say, Adam?
It's further than the trees. It's as far as I know.
Sometimes it
But
isn't.
how do you know?
Sometimes
Maybe
it
it's
isn't.
like within the trees, it's just that the trees are in the way. It's too thick for the light to manifest right there.
That's sounding like that woolly crap. It's in the clouds.
No, but what if think of it, what if the celestial light is literally everywhere? It's at all distances, right? It could be anywhere. That's the whole point. We don't even know how it's manifesting. To assume it's coming from a specific thing in space is already a physicality assumption bias that you can't back. We don't know what it is at all. We can't engineer anything like it.
Agree. That's why making silly assumptions of anything, and certainly putting it in clouds, putting it in trees, just because that's what it looks a bit like when it's really bright and you're looking at the sun through the clouds or through the trees, is just as ridiculous. It's something I see a lot of flat earthers doing, making strange claims.
I remember debunking that about 8 years ago. One of the very, very first things, along with Mandela and clone centers and other garbage that was around, and people just didn't understand how cameras worked. Now, at the time, you just think it's common knowledge about that's just how the camera's working. That's not because the sun's in between the trees or in the clouds. You're having a laugh. But, you know, one of my first jobs was in a camera shop. I worked in Dixon selling people cameras and showing them how they worked. So, you know, it's obvious to me. It's not necessarily obvious to a lot of flat earthers who still, to this day, still claim that. Bloody hell. I did mine in sarcasm. I remember sticking it out and saying, look, the sun's coming through these trees. Like, trying to do a JLB, you know, put it out in all seriousness. Anyway.
It's a like giving egg that's just sitting in the tree there.
Exactly. You got it. Moving on. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Only using curved geometry on the curved plane based off a flat plane.
Three contradictions in one.
Right, so you warp it into a ball, then you can measure it using warped ball geometry. And to make sure that it actually works, you undo the warp and use the flat plane and flat plane geometry.
Not true.
Nah,
Brian
just
did a really good
contrary.
video recently about this, where he exposes non-Euclidean, what you call globe geometry. It's just total nonsense. Really good video. Brian's Logic channel. Check it out. Have you seen that particular video from Brian, Arwin?
I have not, but I would already per default agree. Of course, it's nonsense, but nonsense better than nothing.
I mean, useful for Baldwin maybe, but ultimately speaking, yeah, it's number one. It's like a bit like how all roads lead to a flat Earth. Well, in this instance, it's similar because it's based in Euclidean geometry, isn't it? Say it's non-Euclidean is absurd in itself.
It has to be based on Euclidean, right? That's the start. Like, if you want to create anything that's lasting, it has to be based on something that's real somewhere. So you gotta have to use that flat plane.
Right, hold on.
And then you can all turn it into a ball.
The start is the definition of an angle. And an angle is the intersection point of two lines, straight lines. To try and invoke a curved line means you fail instantly at the definition of an angle.
Right, that's why you need to redefine all these things in order to make the geometry work.
No, you can't redefine an angle. It is already defined. There's no requirement for redefinition.
I don't think that's what Arwin meant.
It all depends on what the definition of define is.
You're using the wrong word. What you mean by definition is context, don't you, Arwin?
Oh, no, sure, that works too.
Well, in the context of a globe believer working outside the parameters of angles and their definitions, then a curved angle is perfectly permissible, according to Arwin, in that context. Adam?
There is no context where a curved and a straight line can meet to form an angle. That's what I'm saying. There isn't a context. Even if you believe you live on a ball, it's an opposition of the definition. It defies the definition, or it doesn't meet the requirements of the definition to make an angle. To make an angle, you need two straight lines. You can't have a straight line meeting a curve. At best, you can define that as a tangent, but that doesn't mean you can take an angle from that. You could only take an angle off of the straight line tangent, therefore meeting the definition, because you got one straight line tangent and then your line. But what you can't do is use the curved line in any way to help in the definition of the term angle. It doesn't meet the definition.
Well, I disagree based on absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and that's what will happen, Adam. While I obviously agree with you, you are fundamentally correct. There is no disputing that. But what Arwin's suggesting is, if I was to say to you in a really petty way, well, why do we argue about it with them in that manner then? That's the position that Arwin's trying to put to you when he says, I will disagree with you for absolutely no justifiable reason. Or better still, I'll just disagree with you, aka hand wave dismissal, when you're saying, no, the nonsense of curve angles is nonsense. Not in my world. Here's a reference. So that's where Arwin's going, and I, in a way, thank him for it, despite the fact that it just gives another opportunity for me to agree with you, Adam, if that makes sense. Weird that I'm thanking Arwin for that.
You're welcome.
When you get to that point, I'm not sure who said it, but reality is you can't argue with an idiot. And I'm not attacking you there, Arwin, but you've got to the point of idiocy, haven't you? You've got to the point where, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter, even if you believe you're on a ball, the definition of an angle is the definition of an angle. Now, if you're
perfect. I led Adam there for a reason. It was because I wanted it as a segue. So sorry to use and abuse you, Adam, but I've got what I wanted. Now you can be put away wet. Anyway, so just in the in-between, when I was running the intro, Just Bill was saying stuff that didn't make it to air because the intro was running. But I'm hoping he'll echo the sentiment because it sides with me in terms of what I did yesterday. And then we'll move on to what Righteous had in terms of sentiment. So can you remember what you were saying while I was running the intro, just Bill?
Are we talking about accents?
Cutting people's heads off, as in metaphorically
cut 'em
destroying
off.
the argument.
Oh, yeah. Right, a quick death. Yeah, I don't believe in torture. Something to the sentiment, I don't believe in torture. I'd rather give my enemies a quick death.
Therefore, in my humble opinion, although I'm not trying to justify this because I agreed in the pre-show with people's criticisms, a quick death, Adam's segue, or useful as it is to say, well, once you reach the point of idiocy, which was a highlight of yesterday's show, me highlighting in no uncertain terms in great detail how our opponent had been idiotic. It's wrestling with pigs at that point, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah, and generally that's all you can do then is reiterate the point of what an angle is. There's no point trying to allude to pictures, celestial navigation, because this person can't get past the definition of an angle. It might be Socratic, but you are literally at the point where you have to recognize it will become futile because you can't argue with an idiot.
Right.
Yeah? Doesn't matter what perfectly sensible, coherent, intelligent sentence you put together, the audience, they won't hear it.
Sure. So for example, in cognitive terms, what's going through the mind of the globe believer in this scenario? You explain that they require a flat reference plane. That's a plane that they can reference when they're measuring the ground, which they are. They will then tell you that that referenceable plane is imaginary, and we're going to measure it. But ultimately, the reality is a dangling dingleberry that I assume below the plane we're measuring that's imaginary. So there's an imaginary ball that's real below a plane that we're measuring that's imaginary. That's his response, to tell us that the bit they're actually measuring, because it's flat, is now imaginary. It's just a conceptual plane that we're measuring. What? So the dangling dingleberry that we're not measuring and has no curves and can't have curves when we take angles from the ground, that bit's real. But the bit you're measuring isn't. That's where they'll take it. Sad, isn't it?
The imaginary plane, unfortunately, when you then transfer to celestial navigation, is the surface on which you're navigating.
Yep.
That's and that's why they'll try and conflate those two things. No, it's just we're just creating an imaginary plane to take the angle. No. That angle, that whether it's a parallel or whether it's the surface you're using, the angle you take is commensurate to the surface you're navigating upon, not to a tangent to the surface. You can't do anything to navigate on the tangent to the surface. You have to navigate on the surface. And the surface is the thing that generates the angle. If I'm prerequisite, it has to be flat.
Earth is flat. That's how it's built on. That's how it's navigated. That's how it's mapped. It's obviously, observably, navigably flat. There's no other way to describe it. Now, the slant that we're currently putting on this is to say that in light of the fact that Earth is flat, means the opponents, globers or anti-flat earthers, also require the use of said flat plane. Earth is being measured and Earth is flat. Therefore, when they assert that Earth is a sphere, they will, without question, at some stage, measure the ground as flat. Because that's the only way it can be measured. That's how it is. So, with that all being said, the criticism from Righteous Force was to say that rather than taking my opportunity when it arose to cut the guy off at the knees, and in figurative and literal terms, cut him off in his sentence when he asserts a flat plane, or contrapositively, or whatever the word is, by contrast, say, I can get an angle from a curve, or this is possible on a globe, the angle, at which point I'm stopping him and saying no. Now, Righteous was saying, well, if you'd have just been a bit less keen to stop him at the point that makes your point, I'm paraphrasing, adding my bits in, then maybe he'd feel a bit more welcome next time. Now, my response was, why would I want to make him feel welcome? He's only here to tell me I don't understand, simply because I'm a flat earther and he feels he's more intelligent than us. So why would I suddenly welcome him with arms wide open,
Well,
cuddle him and fondle him into understanding when he's just here to tell me I don't understand. He doesn't think I will ever be able to educate him if he's literally telling me I don't understand. Why is he going to accept anything I say if that's his opinion of me? Why would I welcome that type of person is my question.
I don't get what welcoming means. Does welcoming mean conceding that you can get an angle from a curved surface?
No.
And then move
No.
forward with that concession? Or
Righteous is saying, when he says, you can do this on a globe, the angle, he was about to go blah, 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 blah about an angle from a curve. And instead of letting him, I've said, stop, about 15 times until he stopped, and then pointed out, no, you can't get an angle from a curve. Righteous's suggestion would be, don't say stop 15 times, because it's at that moment where he's describing, you can do this on a globe. The angle, not possible on a globe. I'm not going to let him waffle. Righteous says I should.
let him waffle once and then destroy it.
I did in the pre-show, but no one got to see that live.
Yeah. So, but you can only do it once. You're not going, especially if you then take your time to explain to him why that's incorrect. Then he's either not listening or he's just going to keep regurgitating his diatribe, isn't he? That if you've done it once and you've addressed it, and he ignores what you address it with, then you should be shut down, I think. But you can't assume he's definitely going to go into the same rhetoric that we've heard a million times. But I suppose you've got to let him have that rhetoric once, whether that's in the pre-show or not. Once is sufficient.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. I'll put it to you guys if you're in the chat right now. Your opinion is equally as valid. You're the audience, after all. So, Righteous, yes, his opinion's valid. He's a panel member. He's one of our moderators. He's highly valued here. But that might be an audience member, but he isn't, if you know what I mean. So, in that respect, I'd rather hear what you guys in the audience would. Which side do you take? Are you on Just Bill's side? No cruelty to animals. You've got to be kind by chopping them off at the knees immediately when they make those mistakes. Don't let them waffle on into nonsensical gibberish when they've already said what you need. Alternatively, Righteous's opinion was, no, let them waffle through to the end each time. Adam's opinion is, let him do it once, which I did in the pre-show. He got, 5 or 10 minutes to waffle through with a couple of the other people on the panel with me listening intently, which he may or may not have known. But, he got to make his claims. But yeah, just let us know from the chat. What do you think? Should the opponents be allowed to waffle off into La La Land for the sake of them feeling more welcome and willing to return? Or should we cut them off at the knees as soon as they say curve angles or something equally stupid? Should really open my chat so I can actually read what people are saying. Let's do that.
Quick look.
Hello, by the way, everyone in the live audience.
Nathan, it depends on the opponent. When you get the professional anti-flat earthers like McToon, Dave McKeegan, FDFE, those we should give no quarter, basically. But when it comes to amateurs, just let them waffle a little bit and then, slap them across the face and let them know that what they believe is wrong.
Okay. Michael Kahn from the chat says, off at the knees. Yeah, that was the general sentiment in the comments. Right, yeah, cut them off at the knees. Hopefully we'll get a few other opinions. But I agree with you. Perhaps it's that attitude that I'm extending as a consequence of anti-flat earthers like the list you just gave, that leads me to be a little more harsh than is necessary to your average newbie. And his appeals to, I've only been in this arena for 2 minutes. My attitude was, I don't care. Talk crap, expect pain.
I'm not asking you to care, but I'm thinking more from a listener's point of view as well. So whilst you know what they're going to say, maybe the audience doesn't. So you've got to give them that opportunity once so that when you do demolish it, it has a point of reference to those that don't intuitively know what they're about to say. If you see what I mean, it contextualizes your response better if you let them get it out fully once, what they believe.
Fair enough.
Once in the pre-show, once in the live show, once in the after show, and never in person.
Never in person.
It's a totally different ball game in person.
So
People
you
have-
think one per each show? So if they've already done it once, when it goes to the live show, they should be allowed to. Nathan should give them another crap of the bullshit.
I don't have any answers, Adam. I
mean,
really don't.
You have an opinion, though. I thought that made a bit
Sure.
of sense what you're saying.
Yes, I mean, I don't like the waffle. They're free to waffle any place in the world. I mean, but why allow them to waffle here too?
Well, waffling's fine. I'm a professional waffler. It's. I don't think that's the objection. It's them ignoring, completely ignoring your rebuttal and carrying on.
Well,
and
they don't
reasserting.
want. It
Good.
sounds like the man. He didn't want to. Like flat earthers were below this man. Now I didn't hear the conversation, Adam. Right, but it sounds as though it's his own pride, right? He's got to deal with his own pride. It's not Nathan's problem or your problem or my problem. His pride is his problem. And if he's going to refuse to acknowledge what is like patently and obviously true, then why waste your time with him? Because you're not going to help. You can't help someone who loves darkness rather than light.
Well, again, it's for the sake of audience, dude. What Adam said. The guy yesterday was clueless. Like, he did not understand when Nathan said, you're going to need a plane of reference for that. He said himself, I don't understand what you mean. You know, he didn't know that the gravity is not a force. He's obviously a noob. So that's all, man. For the sake of audience, you got to explain why he's wrong.
Yeah, totally agree.
Instead of cutting. Yeah, that's it, man.
I need sharpening back up, don't get me wrong. After many, many months of messing around with computers, my focus has not been on this. So this is just what I need to hear. This is how it can be done better, right? Not the sharpest I have been. I am the first to admit it. But that's something I can address if I'm not constantly messing around with computers.
I thought yesterday was good, other than us not getting a go. But you were on it. We were tweaking in because I was tweaking in a little bit because I had him. I knew where he was going. You know, when we got to the point of what his job was, and then I detected you got it as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, I thought yesterday's was a good show. I don't think you shot him down really yesterday. You gave him plenty of opportunities to demonstrate why he thought he was a scientist. You know, and to demonstrate the points of that to allow him to show that he understood the points that were being discussed. Entropy, simple things. And I thought it was quite good because it showed that somebody rocks up playing Mr. Billy Big Balls, I'm a scientist, and he was taken apart quite swiftly, I thought, without. It got a bit, he kept over talking you, and you have to, and sadly, that's got to be dealt with like that. I thought it was quite succinct where we got to the point to demonstrate that he was just talking from what he believes, couldn't back anything up. And I bothered, by the way, to read the paper that he sent.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's Cavendish. It's
Of course.
torsion bar twist, mate.
He did say.
Yeah. It's the same bunkum. It's those differentials over 20 years working out to figure out a new big G. But fundamentally, yeah, it's a Cavendish, but they use a 13-ton mercury bed to try and keep temperatures and things stable. But it's still a Cavendish. It's still a torsion bar twist, trying to claim that any differentials was to rule out pressure, temperature, air, all sorts of other things. Then any differential that remains must be the attractive gravitational force of mass attracting mass
In their man-made device.
Yes. Good paper though, but it was the same.
So the summary we requested, you've just given in about, what, a minute and a half, tops?
Yeah. Cavendish on a mercury bed.
You can summarise it in a sentence then.
Yeah.
Something we asked of him. But his response was, whenever I bring up Cavendish, oh, really? Newbie that's only just got here. Whenever you bring up Cavendish, flat earthers object because blah, 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 blah. Right, why are you bringing it up then? Clearly you've not listened to a single claim, but you want to slap it on the desk and say, I'm a scientist, and say, there's gravity proof, without going through a single word of it. Adam, who's taken the time, because he's, what's the word?
Geek.
No, I was going to say conscientious. I just don't think that's the right word. Is it conscientious?
No, it's just geeky. If somebody puts something down, I like to read it. It's worth skimming.
Thorough, that's the word. Because
Thorough.
Adam's
Okay.
thorough. He's gone through what the guy claimed. Me, I didn't even look. I didn't even open up Discord to have a look at it. But you know, that's the difference between me and Adam. I'm incredibly lazy. So it's not geeky. It's just I'm lazy or not. You've done what should have been done, which is go through the paper. But now we know what it is and what it isn't. Proof of gravity, that is. It's not proof of gravity. It's 108-year out-of-date rhetoric that he thinks is a force that doesn't exist anymore and hasn't existed for over 100 years. There we go. There were several people in the chat that echoed the sentiments that most people have echoed in the comments, which is, yeah, off with his head. Dispense with him quickly. But that doesn't change the fact that I do absolutely value Righteous Force's opinion in this regard, because there's going to be plenty of other people who have the same attitude. And, you know, it's striking a balance, refining what has already been sharpened. It's become dull through computing. So that's okay. It doesn't take long to sharpen up a very good blade, which I am. Anyway, so yeah, that was good. Check it out as yesterday's show. So I'm sure we will have other fundies that will come past our path. Welt's Hammer, for example, we don't know who he is. He's a newbie. He might be a budding, keen anti-flat earther. We just don't know. Hello, is it Welch Mertz? M.A.? How you doing?
I'm actually a flat earther.
One more time?
Actually a flat earther.
Oh, it's Flat Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, he said he's a flat earther, not a
It's not Flat
baller.
Arthur. He's a Flat Earther. That's okay. That's allowed.
Accent.
Hello. It's all good. I mean, I am keen for the next half an hour, if it's all good by you boys. Let's rephrase that. By you, gentlemen. To just have a chit-chat. Have a very relaxed Friday afternoon show. It's already been mentioned what day it is, so you might as well highlight that fact. Because if we can get to the end of the show without anything failing on this computer, I'm going to be celebrating the entire weekend, because it's the first weekend in quite some time that I will actually have to not be sat in front of the computer. I'm saying this, it'll probably fail in the next 2 minutes, and that'll mean my weekend has been ruined. But hopefully we can just have a little chit-chat to round out the week. You all good with that?
Sounds like joy, man. You're going to have a joyful weekend.
Okay. Can someone explain to me what someone's put a bee in Bev Try Thinking's bonnet? He's very triggered in our chat. What's the deal? Why is Bev so triggered?
He's become a bit of a troll on everybody's channels. I don't really respond to him, but if he's doing it in all the shows, really. He's doing it on QE Live, and he's doing it in Flatzoid stuff as well. I think he's just after attention.
Okay. Well, that deals with that. What about Rachie? What's the deal with her? I just unsubscribed from Rachie. So I went into a video that she made about Coriolis effect. Now, this is a weird thing to say. I'm very good with Coriolis, in spite of the fact it is my least favourite subject. In fact, I hate it. Doesn't change the fact that I do actually understand it, where a lot of people, including Rachie, do not. And she's correcting somebody who does understand it and has detailed it reasonably concisely. And she's made a whole video about it with her misapprehensions about drifting projectiles. Like, oh my God. This is fairly basic when you understand it. Don't get me wrong, it does take a little bit of learning to understand the differential in a path of something moving straight when observed from something rotating. That would be to say that if you rotate underneath something, it will appear to take a path that it isn't really taking, only because you're observing it whilst moving. Now, for that effect to be induced, that's Coriolis effect, you have to be turning underneath. Well, Rachel's whole video is about how that isn't the case, because she's got references from the globe. You're like, you're kidding me. the citations about this globe that are based on a flat Earth measurement will lie and convolute that which is clearly defined Coriolis effect, induced only as you turn underneath. So you can argue about needing to turn underneath. How there's zero Coriolis on the equator on a globe. You're like, why? Because this reference we have deemed globiolus, because it isn't Coriolis effect, and its descriptions of how a globe would work. Like, Coriolis hasn't got anything to do with the globe. You might be able to transpose the effect of Coriolis based on non-inertial and inertial reference frames into a reification of a globe if you choose to, but that would still fall in line with the description of what Coriolis is, and that's you turning underneath stuff, observing it seem to drift when it doesn't. So for that to happen, you've got to turn underneath. Like I say, a whole video is about, oh, that's not the case. You're like, well, then you're dumb. Unsubscribed. Bye-bye, Rachie. Get out of my life. Get out of my subscription field. You're dumb.
This can't be a surprise. Nathan, the writing's been on the wall with Rachie for a long time. She's like the
dumb.
Coriolis effect
I don't know about that.
itself,
She didn't
except
ever.
she's
So I hate
deviating.
to disagree immediately. I'm sorry to cut you off. No, she doesn't strike me as dumb. What gives you that impression? If you're saying the writing's on the wall that she's dumb, or is that not what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm saying, but the writing on the wall, it's not surprising that she doesn't understand Coriolis. She doesn't. I mean, she claims that the Earth is rising. She's had all kinds of strange claims, man. She's made a lot of strange claims besides those two. How, I don't know why Rachie. I don't know, why would you expect anything like, if she's giving you nonsense, on a constant drip, why would you expect anything less?
Is she though?
It's kind of,
I've seen plenty of videos from Rachie that were okay. I don't really understand the sentiment. I hate to be disagreeable. I'm sorry.
Past tense, Nathan, what you've watched. I think what the gents in Discord's talking about is probably the past 6 months to a year, where, yeah, I could cite some of Rachie's videos in the past where she's took ballers apart very eloquently.
Yeah,
yeah,
me too.
Yeah, but that's not what's happened in the past year. She's first of all turned into an Umi, hasn't she? Upward moving earther. We had all of that.
Umi? Oh, I like it. Umi? That's so sweet. Oh, that's so cute.
It was either Umis or Uris. And we thought
Umi.
Umis is
Let's stick with Umi. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Umi is horrible. That's like German or something.
Yeah. And then we've got her going on and arguing for a ball. And now she's, I think, admitted she is back on the ball. I was in chat with her the other day on a Flatzoids where she was telling me the reason you can't measure the one-way speed of light, you have to do the two-way speed of light, is because of Einstein's relativity. She seems to be pumping all sorts of disinformation out there now and has no care about what crap or even the quality of the crap she's putting out, hence what I just quoted. Lots of people, I don't know, you look at it, were these people genuine in the beginning? It's not really.
Genuine to really
behavior.
Hold on. Genuine to careless word.
No.
Did they have a flat Earth belief? Let's be more specific, Rachie have a belief that Earth is flat? I'm going to go with yes. She did. Past tense. Beliefs are easy to overcome, aren't they?
Yeah, beliefs are, proofs aren't. And when you've cited proofs, and that's why I picked the word genuine from the beginning. I don't know. It's very odd behaviour. It's a bit like when we look at Ranty. What went off there wasn't a change in the facts, wasn't changing what he believed, was it? Because he'd proven to himself and others. And she's done the same. So to change your position and contradict yourself, but not be able to rebut yourself like you rebutted where you first were coming out as a flat earther. You can't add that same level of logic to your new position to justify it. But to then behave like this, genuinely, I have to ask myself, were they genuine in the beginning? Because it's very odd behavior now if they were and they flip like this. My assumption, and for what it's worth, which is at naught, would be that maybe I was fooled and they weren't genuine from the beginning.
Hard to know. I mean, in the last year, like I say, my focus has been way away from where it should be in terms of flat Earth, and with the exception of while I've kept the show ticking over just about, while that's been going on, people like Dell have come along to the show because we've been discussing it, because you guys have got your ear to the ground and you let me know, and then I react to it, and then typically they'll attack me, even though I've only been informed on my own show, so they know as much about what I know as they've seen on the show. But what else has been going on in the last 12 months? Is there any other wayward flat earthers, let's just call them, like Dell or Rachie, that I haven't cottoned onto? Maybe you can let, again, from the chat, this is a bit more of an interactive laid-back show today, so if you want to let us know, over the last 12 months, my ear has not been to the ground in flat earth, and that is very much to my detriment. I'm not Mr. Current Events when it comes to normal news, because I don't care about any of it, it's all fake. But when it comes to flat earth, typically I do know what's going on, and at the moment I don't feel like I do, but I need to get back to that place. So I'm not promoting people I shouldn't be, or, you know. Also, I want to do a shout out to OBE Lines. He was one of the people who actually responded when I asked about my attitude towards that guy yesterday. He was like, do what you do. OBE Lines has got a channel that I watch. So he's one of the members as well. So he's whizzing his way on the live stream chat now, if you are in the live stream chat. And he noted that he'd managed to get himself over 2,000 subscribers, which he tends to hover around, after a shout out from me. So, I mean, if I could influence people to go and subscribe to OBE Lines, if you like cats, he's also got Chronicles of the Cats, which I'm sure is obviously very much off topic, but there we go. He's got a second channel, which you might enjoy. People like cats. What can you say? And he chronicles them. But ultimately, OBE Lines, which is a bit more Russian vids-esque, and I should maybe stop comparing you to Russian vids, because that is presumably not what you want or desire to constantly be referred to as like a bit like Russian vids. So maybe I'll stop saying that about you. But hopefully I can, get you over 3,000 subscribers, whatever. You should be growing. You're putting the effort into your channel. There's no reason why people shouldn't be subscribing to you. And you've got a very interesting take on stuff and a keen eye. So go and check out OBE Lines. Like I say, hopefully one of the mods will stick his channel link in the live stream chat, so you can, as a live stream member, go and check him out. We'd normally be promoting somebody's video and saying, go and subscribe to this total arse that we all hate, to help them in the algorithm, in the vain hope that they'll come back with a link to our video if they respond. Don't think it's ever happened. The closest we came was with Matthew Learns, where he, on his 90,000, 100,000 subscriber channel, did a response on his 2,000 subscriber channel and did put a link to my video. In fact, I don't even think he did that. He said he'd put a link in the video and didn't. In a totally unsubscribed to channel. But here we go. Hopefully someone will stick a link. There we go. Please subscribe to friend of FED OBE Lines. It's whizzing it way by thanks to the Divergent Droid. So hopefully that'll have some influence on your subscriber count there. Give him a comment. Let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hey D Rose, by the way, we didn't actually welcome you.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
I'm catching up. How much have you had your ear to the ground in the last 12 months?
Well, I had posted something yesterday. I don't know if it was TikTok, some guy making some type of, I don't know if he's purporting it or just kind of like throwing it up there saying, what do you guys think? But I brought it up a long time ago about these different phenomena that we're seeing where it looks like something's hitting what some people believe to be the firmament or whatever it is that looks like a surfer or a water ski jet hitting up in the sky and causing this splash of like a wave foam coming about, and which is inexplicable to most, but they throw a lot of speculations like they hit the firmament, they did this, they did that.
So are you talking about the
it's
Go Fast?
operation?
Is this Go Fast?
Say it again?
Is this a rocket that they send up that makes all sorts of watery noises?
Yeah, numerous things. Not noises, but it's called this visual activity of the sky or whatever.
Okay, can you post it again? Let's have a look. Can you post it again?
No, it's up on your Master B.
Yeah, well, I'm looking. That's why I'm asking you to post it again. I've just scrolled all the way up while you were talking, and I can't.
All right, let me look.
Okay.
All right, here it is. Here it is. Let me get copy link. It's weird. It's a link. Hold on. And put it back. All right, there it is again. It says login. I don't know if you have an Instagram account to get it or automated it and put you on there.
Is it?
But it's at the bottom.
I got it. It's some dude showing the sky, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Do we need his
he's talking
audio?
about it. Huh?
Do we need his audio?
I would assume so, yes. But if
Okay.
you play it, it should play automatically and have some audio. But he's purporting something of ethereal. It's an ether region, realm, not the firmament.
But many
He's
people
pulling out
think that that
scriptures and
rocket
stuff
hit
like that.
God's firmament dome, and that's why water appeared, because they thought that it was the waters above the firmament that were causing that water-type appearance. But they did not hit the firmament, because God said in Proverbs 25 verse 3, "The heaven for height and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable."
What? How does that make his point? The heavens for height, and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable.
I take that as him saying that man will never find the depths of the earth or the height of the heavens, no matter what they do. That's how I hear. That's how I interpret it. So what we're thinking is being the firmament being hit by these rockets is not what it is. And if you listen further, he'll say what he believes it is, or what is claimed to be by astrologers or whatever. That it's not the firmament. It is a ethereal realm, which is before, it is precedent before ever even thinking of you hitting the firmament. And that's what we're seeing.
Okay.
If you listen further, he breaks it down more.
That's what we're being led to believe. It's very interesting. I watched this. It's the SpaceX thing. And there's a nice cover story that's a little implausible from SpaceX, so that you can go, "Ooh, I don't believe that." And then there's this big water splash, and we've seen a couple of them now. It's interesting, isn't it, that these things are happening now as hologrammatic skills have increased.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe this is your blue beam bollocks. Maybe it's not going to be aliens. Maybe it's part of, it's all I know is you're being played with. It's on the mainstream media, something that crap, and inconclusive and dodgy a story. You're just being manipulated. And sadly, in my opinion, people like this are taking it, and they're taking scripture, and they're trying to put the two together as some kind of proof that you can't stick these two together and prove anything. You do not know what you've been fed in the media. Read your scripture, fine, but don't take the crap that the mainstream give you and try and use that as proof. They're just playing with your minds.
They will never be able to reach the firmament. What you saw was a superfluid realm called the ether that they are hiding from you.
Did
This realm
you?
of superfluid
Did you really?
is also known as the blue air. And there's actually explorers who trapped samples.
Blue air, eh? That's not all it's known as. Oh, see Quantum Eraser's list where he's got about a bazillion different things that ether is.
Of this air.
So
when you see this,
that blue air one, Nathan, that is the manner of the gods. So
Manner of the gods.
Yeah, it's the manner of the gods. So that's one of the earliest definitions of ether. When they say up there in the
I'm just
ether, the
confused.
blue air.
Stop. I'm really confused. Sorry. Manna means like food or something, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Food
So
of the gods. The sky, the blue air is food of the gods. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first etheric thing when they're looking up and they're saying that, and that's the manner of the gods, the ether up there. That's the old, just first description of just that realm that you don't know what it is up there. And then they attribute myth to it, don't they? You see? So it's
this blue type liquid, you're seeing the superfluid ether realm that's above us.
Because
see, that's very different though, isn't it? Superfluid realm. So he's now describing ether as a physical state. It's not some non-manifested state. It is that thing up there. It is that fluid. That fluid is ether. That is very ancient way of viewing the first definition of ether. It's not some hidden metaphysical thing. It is the big blue sky where the gods live.
It starts at about 73 miles up, and it
Because
is not the firmament. It is a dense realm of air that is referred to as a superfluid. Back then, they used to believe that the ether permeated space. The reason they're hiding this ether from you is because it actually proves that the Earth is
hiding it from you. How do you know about it? I mean, you just made baseless assertions about what it was with no evidence to back them. Now you're telling me that something's being hidden from me. This makes no sense. Finally, we're over 100 people watching. 110 people watching. Woohoo! Thank you very much to all of you who smashed the share button. If you've just joined us, please share the show.
not moving at all. So I want to show you this document here that's talking about the ether, right? It's normally transparent, meaning you can't see it, but it can be made visible by hitting it sufficiently hard to knock out a part.
Because why would that be? I don't really understand what he's babbling about. These are all baseless assertions.
All right, so we know that ether can be made visible when...
Oh, we know that now, do we? Oh, sorry. There was me thinking that I'd just pointed out as a baseless assertion, but you're now pointing out as we now know this. Because...
it's hit by something, right?
So that would be an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Right?
Yeah.
If firmament, then when you hit it, it does X. We hit it, and it did X, therefore firmament. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. So affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy is just used.
Now you see the superfluid realm being hit.
Now you see.
Now look at this moon footage. You have these little waves going across. Here goes another one.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. And...
so we know the moon is traveling through this ether type realm.
oh, I see. You see something on a camera, therefore you know the moon is traveling through superfluid ether.
That's
No.
Crow 777, isn't it? So that they're the moon waves. So when you've got a telescope up at it, sometimes you get these ripple effects across your field of view, which looks like a wave. You get a layer of distortion. It looks like a wave just passing across. Again, you see, if I see a lunar wave and there's water between me and the moon, I do see this visual distortion. Yeah, therefore it is a lunar wave.
Ugh.
I thought we were past this.
No.
I want to say something too.
Go
With the
ahead.
young man, may I real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, D. You're on the panel, mate.
No, giving credit to this enthusiastic apparent flat earther, because I believe he's a flat earther, but he's kind of, he's doing the feast of nonsense, convoluting mixture with everything. And granted, they all do that. Even the guys that's put on the pedestal, like, Whitson and all them. But what he doesn't realize is that he just convoluted two forms of matter. He said it's this air superfluid thick. How can air be a superfluid thick? One has got to be the other. It can convert. You can convert maybe water into steam, if that's what he's talking about, but you can't have a superfluid thick fluid and say it's air. So he, right off the jump, right out the gate, he said something that was just like a feast of nonsense, asinine.
You're correct, but what Adam and I are trying to illustrate to the audience, I'll have to descend into absurdity to make it more clear, it seems. So, if I assert that the sky is actually treacle, well, how do you know it's treacle? Well, we know that if you smack treacle, it becomes more dense and difficult to traverse. Right? So, if P, sky, treacle, then Q, difficult to traverse and creates a phenomena. Look at the phenomena that SpaceX have shown me. Therefore, the sky is treacle. Okay? That's what he said. Oh, my bad. He didn't say treacle. I messed that up completely. He said ether, didn't he? Yes, exactly the
Yep.
same thing. Other than
Can you
treacle's
explain-
actually real.
What? Explain to me what treacle is. Is that the word?
Treacle.
Treacle. What is that? Treacle. Are y'all pulling that out the air?
Oh my God. I didn't ever have to expect in my life to have to define what treacle is.
I never used the term before.
It's like a liquid. It's a syrupy sugar. That's very
got
thick.
you. You put it on pancakes. Okay. Okay. I'm
Imagine
sorry.
the consistency of molasses. What's molasses? No, let's move on.
I know what that
Now,
is.
this is why in the 1900s they conducted the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Come again? Michelson-Morley experiment? Au contraire. No, it is not an experiment.
To try and prove that the Earth is moving through the ether realm.
So, you're proving something that hasn't been demonstrated to be true, and then claiming that the Earth, something that is incapable of variation and manipulation, is travelling through it, and then qualifying that claim, which is utterly absurd, by justifying it with this word, experiment. See how they
Was he not
steal
using
valor?
scripture earlier?
I was just going to point out that this, right now, is fraud. It's the same fraud I would accuse Bob Nodell, if he was still alive, of, because it's the same fraud he commits when he does the exact same thing. Past tense, committed. Now, when we point out that this is fraud, it holds zero prejudice. I don't even know this guy's name, nor do I care. But he has not got science. What is science, I hear you all ask? I didn't. It's the establishment of cause and effect. The effect being what you study to have observed in nature, the cause being your supposition that you haven't validated yet. If you validate it, it is the outcome of an experiment. What's an experiment, you say? Well, an experiment is the actualization of a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis. Like explained 2 minutes earlier, you have an effect, something you're studying in nature, that's half of your hypothesis. You have a supposition of cause, also detailed earlier. That's the cause in your hypothesis. So you have your presumed cause and the effect. The experiment is where you vary it to see if it does cause it or not. That's a real, scientifically validatable cause and effect reasoning, suppositional statement, hypothesis, put into practice, experiment, to establish or elucidate the cause of an effect you observe in nature. There is no effect in nature for ether. So they conjure it out of existence through and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, tell you that we now definitely know we've got ether. Now we're going to science the crap out of that, what I just conjured out of non-existence, by telling you that if this, then that, therefore ether. Now we know we've got ether, let's science it with something that isn't science. Now, the same people we expose from the flat earth who use this exact same fraud have turned around in light of us exposing this as fraud, because it definitely isn't science, therefore fraud, call us scammers. Why? Well, because we're exposing the grift. This is a grift. A grift, a con. What's a con? Somebody who employs their confidence to trick you. That's precisely what this is. And affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy to assert that we've got some sort of medium that's not ever been proven through a fraudulent claim of scientific validity. Now, if he had science, he'd have empirical proof of an effect he observed in nature. He doesn't have that. But the credence that is offered by saying the words experiment is all you need to convince somebody in the audience that you're affirming the consequent fallacy, conjuring into existence something that isn't ever shown to be real, suddenly has science for it. Like I say, us exposing that has led us to be called scammers. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry, that was long-winded.
No. I'd nipped away for a coffee there, literally just. I've come back and we're on Mickelson Morley. And I'd left the guy that was citing scripture to make his point and then elucidating it. And then he comes to this. And the thing I've just heard is completely contradictory to the scripture he's been referring to, where he's now telling me that the earth is moving. I thought it was steadfast if I was going to cite, scripture, but it's now moving through, and this is the second contradiction, through the thing that was previously just up there, the blue thing. That was the ether, the wet stuff, the barrier was the ether, the other side. Now it's something more metaphysical that we're all now moving through. So that's the sign of a charlatan to me. You can't use scripture one way and then make a completely different claim, which will be contradictory to scripture, to support your pseudoscience.
Quick shout out to Daniel Samaniego, who gives me a super sticker that just says pipe. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the support.
And from what I gathered, when the gentleman said about the moon traversing through the trickle, or the maple syrup thin version, whatever you
Maple
wanna call it.
syrup. Maple syrup.
Yeah, maple syrup. Then he said, Marty and Milton, that's why I call them Marty and Milton, the two guys that talked about the ether. Then he admits that they were wrong, that we are not, the earth is not. However, he then says the moon and the other celestial bodies are. So he's like doubling down, tripling down on the ether belief. So he's an etherite. But then again, he's someone that is opposed to the Milton and Marty claim that we're all moving through the ether. So he's all over the place. But I think that's the most sinister, persuasive, deceptive thing that you can do to somebody that's either on the fence, just coming on board, just opening up the book, if you will, or caught up in that etherite situation, trying to get away from it, like the way our buddy, who we haven't seen in a while, I forgot his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He's the young man that said he was tested by Adam to go experiment, and Neil was all against it and said, no, don't put him into that. I forgot what his name is, but blind spot. So this guy, people like this guy talking kind of really makes it hard to annihilate all of this piece of nonsense crap.
This would prove for them that the Earth is moving through space. Because remember, they said that the ether permeates space, or makes up space. Well, guess what?
They said that, did they? Wow, that's so amazing. I said it was treacle.
Lo and behold, they did not observe the movement of the Earth through this ether realm. So
Did they not?
what did they do? They pretty much proved that the Earth is not moving. It's
You don't
I'll
need
take
to
it back then.
You don't need to prove that the Earth is not moving. You don't need to prove non-existence of movement. If it's an affirmative claim that you have movement, it is up to you as the claimant to prove that. But say, okay, well, your table is moving at 1,000 miles an hour. Is it? Prove it. Well, you go ahead and prove it's stationary. What do you mean prove it's stationary? It's not moving a bloody inch. I don't have to prove anything.
But right, so the point here is, what would a Michelson-Morley interferometry setup? What's it measuring? Yeah, what are you measuring when you do that? So why would you make the claim, irrespective of the outcome of the results, that those results will mean the Earth's moving, the sky's moving? Why would you think a device like that could do that? And no one still can explain, other than, oh, it's just ether. It's just a false interpretation of that device. That's all we've got here, irrespective of what the results of the bloody machine are.
Yeah, regardless of what the machine says, there is no phenomena being studied.
stationary. It's not moving through space, or it's not moving through this ether realm. Of course, because God's word is true. He told us the world is established and that it cannot be moved. So then what happened? Einstein released his special theory of relativity. And then the physics community started to accept that
Yeah, that's the problem. The real frauds of this story The physics community? Physics, that's the study of the physical and natural world, aka science. Science is a method that establishes cause and effect reasoning or elucidates the cause of an effect you studied in nature through systematic experimentation based on a scientific prediction. But here we have him pointing his pinky at the physics community and how they began to accept something. Acceptance isn't anything to do with science. There is no acceptance when it comes to me showing you that something caused something else. I couldn't care less if you accept it. It is what it is. That's what an empirical method, that science, offers. Here we are discussing what a physics community accepted.
Ether does not exist.
That is that.
But of course,
Yeah, this is, see, there's always truth in this. So when you do research this, you do see round about this time the transference of some of the core beliefs. A lot of the scientists did believe in this etheric field still. They're still thinking that it's required for the, in this case, the luminiferous ether is required for the transmission of light. So what you do see is argument in the journals and amongst people, and around Einstein's emergence is the point where there is the change in paradigm view of physicists from that etheric world of towards a more Einsteinian view. Not necessarily a direct switch, but you do see them attacking the ether and the worldview being replaced in a more Einsteinian way. And there is plenty of conspiracy that you can put behind that. There was certainly plenty of money put behind it to put these ideologies forward at the turn of the century. That is true, but that doesn't mean it was a conspiracy theory to hide the ether, and that's what's strapped on to that bit of history. That it's all a conspiracy to hide and away from us the ether. It wasn't really, from my perspective, it was a paradigm that was moved away from as it became less and less relevant, particularly at the point where we're recognizing that light isn't a wave and its behavior can't be explained as a wave. It's not a wave, it's a particle. Then the need for the luminiferous ether ceases. And that, to me, is the real reason why you see this shift.
Right.
Bit of a ramble, but yeah.
Oh, no, perfect. Well, I don't know who he is, but I've put his link so you can go and let the guy know at Nathan Oakley 1980 on YouTube sent me. So hopefully if he was ever to respond to this video, someone will hopefully know what his name is and let me know so I can put his name in our title for this live stream. But with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you in the live stream for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. If you're watching on a premiering stream, that would be to say an after show, then stay tuned as there will be a full after show to follow. Let's just pause this recording. Where's my mouse gone? Disappeared. Maybe I'll do it after the outro. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!